Hello and Assalamu alaikum. I'm Kashif Kamran with SBL Marker Perspective on Professional Skill Marks. Now, professional skill marks is an important area of your SBL exam. It's 20% of the total marks you have in SBL, but there are a lot of misunderstandings around how you gain them. Now, in this session today, I will be looking at the marker perspective from the March-June 2025 examiner report of how you can have excellence in professional skill marks in SPL. Let's open up the session. Now, this is an important question. How candidates can complement technical skills with professionalism? You're all very well versed with technical skill because that's what you do in any ACCA paper. You have a requirement, you read it, and you answer it. Now, that's a sort of a skill you have developed over time, and you know how to read and how to answer a requirement. How would you complement professionalism with that technical skill or with that technical answer? What you need to do extra? How would you demonstrate that to impress your marker? Let's find out the answer. Professionalism can be demonstrated specifically against a particular requirement, but also holistically across the whole exam. And adopting this approach should help markers discriminate between a weaker and a stronger candidate. Now, there are two things, understand them carefully. Number one, the professionalism you are demonstrating against a particular requirement. Now, every requirement in the exam or every task in the exam, when you're reading the task, under the task, you will find a statement about professional skill marks, which says professional skill marks are available for demonstrating commercial acumen. And the statement continues. Or professional skill marks are available for analysis or evaluation, and the statement continues. Or for communication skill, and the statement continues. So under every particular task, you find a statement which tells you about demonstrating a particular professional skill. Now, that's number one. We'll see that shortly. But that is what is being said in the very first statement, that professionalism can be demonstrated specifically against a particular requirement. Now, that's one part of professionalism, and we'll see that, comma, but also holistically across the exam. And that's the differentiating factor between a weaker and a stronger student. That's how the marking team discriminate between a weaker and a stronger student. Now, one is the professionalism you are demonstrating against a specific task, number one. And number two is holistically across the paper. So that means there are two types of professionalism that the marking team is talking about. Let's do a breakup of that and let's understand each one of them realistically. Thus, professional skill marks have two parts in SPL as per the above statement. Number one, the journal professionalism, which is holistically across the exam. And number two is professional skill demonstrated against a particular requirement. So under every requirement, you have a professional skill which you need to demonstrate. Now, you need to excel on both to get most of your 20 professional skill marks. We'll see how. Let's first build upon a perspective before I show you some examples from the March-June 25 paper about professional skill demonstrated against a requirement. Marker perspective on professional marks in SBL. Number one, making the most important or crucial points relating to the requirement where a wide number of weaker points could potentially have earned all technical marks available per part requirement. Now you're writing the weaker point or you're writing the stronger point. Suppose the question is asking you the benefits of data analytics, or they're asking you the benefits of integrated thinking, and you're writing the benefits, but one student is writing the benefits in like a prioritized order, in writing the most important one first. Suppose you need to write 6 benefits, Uh, the student is writing the most important of the benefits, which are more relatable to the company, relatable to the exhibit, relating to the information, or somewhat relating to what you've read in the pre-scene, and prioritizing them first before the journal benefits, which tends to link with the company, but not so effectively. Now, that student is demonstrating professionalism more appropriately than a student who is just writing six benefits, whatever comes to his mind, whether they are relatable to the case or not. And he's just fulfilling the technical side of the answer. He's not earning any professional side or any professional marks when writing those benefits. So that's number one, making the most of the crucial point. Now, that's again a skill which is to be exercised within 195 minutes of the exam time. Now, that shows your alertness. That shows how active you are in the exam environment and how sound judgments are you taking when you're writing like 6 points. How would you prioritize them in exam pressure, and how quickly you will decide about the prioritization. So particularly the points which links with the case, which links with this exhibit given to you on the day of exam, or something getting out of the pre-seen information, the familiarity you have would definitely be the one to be prioritized over the points which tends not to link well with the given organization or industry, but you're writing them more generic around the subject matter, around integrated thinking, or around data analytics in journal. Number two, uh, blending the pre-seen familiarity within your answer points where needed to support your arguments, points, and to develop adequate points, which is impressive. Now, blending the pre-seen, the familiarity you have with pre-seen, but that should be something spontaneous, because when you're sitting in the exam and you're writing the answer, you might recall something you just revised 24 hours before the exam, and you recall something about the performance of the company, like menu craft, and you recall that I saw there was some deterioration, or you recall something from the pre-scene spontaneously, like the menu craft has the best of the customer retentions, and that possible point can help you somewhere in the exam hall to develop your perspective in a more logical manner. So you must have uh, you must be having plenty of facts about menu craft at the back of your mind, because you've revised them, you're pretty familiar with them. So you might recall them spontaneously some point in time when you're writing the answer for task one, two, or three, and that builds up your point in a more impressive manner. And that blending is also adding to your professional skill marks. So making the most of the crucial points first, prioritizing the crucial points first, blending the pre-scene where possible, where logical, not like a forceful application. Number three, not repeating the points. Professionally competent candidates do not needlessly repeat information or points already made within one task. So within one task, not repeating the same point, avoid repeating the same points, and the professionally competent candidates are very concerned about that. So you can repeat a certain point in another task from a different perspective or in a different angle, but within the same task, repetition will dent your professional skill marks, because there is plenty of specific information given to you which you should be making use of. Deliberately choose to discuss more issues than asked for, in the hope that marker will select the best answers. This practice is unprofessional and shows poor judgment. How many times the student asks this question, and how many times the student do this, that instead of writing 6 points, they will write 8 in a hope that the marker will select the best answers. No, I tell the same answer to my student, that if you need to write 6 and you're writing 8, the marking team will be checking the first 6. So I think this is an optimism among the student community, that even if you write this, if even if you write 8, the marking team will choose the best 6 from 8. No, I hope you're getting clarity. This is coming right from the SBL March June 25 examiner report. So this practice is unprofessional and shows poor judgment. And that would be denting your professionalism and your professional skill marks in the paper. Moving forward, showing an ability to prioritize and make points in a logical and progressive way, building arguments rather than using a random scattergun approach. Again, when you're writing the points, don't just write them down. Just try to understand that if I'm writing the 6 points, of these six, which should be brought up front, because it's a computer based exam. So when you're reading and planning and you copy and pasting and reading and planning and you're just copy pasting the points to build up your answer. Now, when you start to write, you have a couple of points you have copy pasted on your word response area or the word processor. Now you can just uh, rearrange them, that which of them should be written first and which should be written later, because out of those points you've copy pasted from exhibit, some of them would be more important or more logical and you think are more significant over the other points. So trying prioritizing them is more important. Further, demonstrating professionalism in SBL is not about linguistic or having an extensive vocabulary. Yes, your vocabulary do build up when you read the pre-scene, your vocabulary around menu craft or your vocabulary around the meal kit industry and the terminology has been used in, you start to build up them. Or even if there is a difficult terminology, you look on Google for the meaning, and that's where your vocabulary starts to build up. And even throughout the process of going with SBL syllabus and reading the models and theories or taking a class of a tutor, you start getting the language in your mind. You start absorbing the language in your mind. But having said that, SPL is not about linguistic excellence. It's not about extensive vocabulary or even about the grammar style. English, for many of the students, is not their first language. So what we are looking for, that's the marker, right? So what we are looking for more specifically is the ability to express the point clearly, factually, and concisely. At least if the marker is reading your point, he or she can understand what you're trying to say. There is no relevance of your linguistic excellence here or your vocabulary here. At least what you're trying to say is in a good enough English so that the person reading it can understand what you're trying to say. So at least it should be that clear, that factual, and that concise. And that's also part of your communication skill marks in SBL, right? In addition to being clear, factual, and concise. Concise is important, right? Because at times the student drag a paragraph, and I will be telling you that lengthy paragraphs are not liked by the marking team. 3 to 4 sentences is a maximum length of a paragraph, and then you should put a full stop and you should go to the next paragraph, or you should give another heading. If you're writing like 7, 8 lines of long paragraphs, that's not a style which a strategic business leader follow. You need to have a concise point, 2 to 3 sentences, break, next point, break, next point, and try segregating your points where possible with headings so that it becomes more clear for the marking team to check. So in addition to being clear, factual, and concise, students should express themselves convincingly, persuasively, and show credibility in what they say. At least try to support your point. You are raising a point, you are raising a benefit, you are raising a drawback, you are raising a disadvantage, you are raising an implication, or you are putting a point, right? So if you are putting a point, support your point because you are writing it. You need to justify it. You need to give a solid explanation for that. You need to own your point. You need to defend your point. And that's what the SPL examining team is looking for. So if you're writing a point, defend it, support it, express it, because you choose it to write. So if you are writing a particular advantage, try to explain that well because you thought it's an advantage. So justify why it's an advantage. Persuade it. Persuade means you need to sell it. You need to convince the marker that yes, it is an advantage and it should be clear. It should be factual. It should be concise. So please come out of that illusion. Grammar, very high profile English, very linguistic excellence, very sound vocabularies. If you have it, That's an advantage. Now, some of the students do have it. They read a lot. They're into reading of books outside SBL. They have established a sound vocabulary by reading extra materials. So that's something extra. But when we look at majority of the student, this should not be a problem unless and until you can express your point factually, concisely. Even when I check assignments of my student, if the point makes sense and I can understand what you're writing, I reward you. But sometimes it's so difficult to understand a point that what you're trying to write because your sentence is not very well synchronized. Your sentence is not putting the right perspective, or you've wrote in a manner that what you're trying to tell, I fail to understand. That should not be the case. Putting the answer in the right format is also part of your professionalism. So if it's been asked to write a report, write a briefing note, write a press release, you should adhere to the instructions. You should know how to start, how to end, because every format has a particular way to start, has a particular way to end. Sometimes you put a signature, sometimes you don't, sometimes you put a conclusion, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you say to, from, date, subject, and introduction. Sometimes you simply say subject and you start writing the answer. So you should know the difference between letter, press release, memos, briefing notes, reports, etc. Using headings and subheadings, just like I was telling you earlier, that the amount of headings, the amount of subheadings you use will break up your answer, will present your answer in a more professional manner. The split in your answer with headings and subheadings will be very much liked by the marking team and adds to your journal professionalism. Giving conclusion where the requirement asks you to evaluate something, assess something, be particular about that. Because when you're assessing something, when you're evaluating something, most of the time you look at the holistic picture. Evaluating, you look at the good side and the bad side, or assess, you look at the positive side or the negative side. And at the end of the day, you have to give in a conclusion. Give conclusion at the end of the report, because in report the report has to end with a conclusion, right? So in report, irrespective of the verb, you have to give a conclusion. Avoid long paragraph in writing answer. I just made that clear on the first bullet of this particular slide. Long paragraphs like 7 to 8 sentences is not something which is liked by the SBL examining team. So you should need to keep your points concise to like 3 max 4 sentences, because that's how the strategic business leader go down with it. If they're writing something, they write concisely and very specifically. Dragging a point or writing long things is not the mandate. You know, there is a term known as executive summary. So executive summary is what goes down with a strategic business leader. Avoid chunk of copy paste with little or no development. If you're just copy pasting something and with no efforts to rephrase it, with no efforts to add value to it, and you're just leaving the copy paste on your word processor, that's useless. Further, journal principles should help marker judge in a holistic way how to reward candidate. Now, the journal principles are the one we have discussed so far. We have discussed so many journal principles, right? All these journal principles will help the marker to judge in a holistic manner how to reward a candidate for showing professionalism. So, right formats, shorter paragraphs, writing it concisely, factually, not repeating anything, linking things with a case study, blending the pre-scene, or what else we have talked about. All that goes part of your journal professionalism and will help a long way the marker to reward you for professional skill marks. The marker will first and foremost pay particular attention to the demonstration of the specifically identified professional skill within each requirement and against which a marking grid is associated. You know, when you look at the marking scheme of ACCA, there is a marking grid of how ACCA rewards you the professional skill marks from 0.5 to 1 to 1.5 to 2, containing the specific criteria and describing what in the particular the marker should be looking for. Just one example. We are talking about journal professionalism since long, right? But look at this bullet. It says the marker will first and foremost pay attention to the demonstration of the specific skill which is connected to a task. Before he starts to award you holistically for journal professionalism. Just let's take an example of a skill attached to a particular task. If you look at this example from the March-June 25 paper in front of you from HP, the historical place, the charity, this is the task number 3 for 18 marks. And when you read this task, it says, prepare a briefing note. So definitely you need to answer the question in the right format of a briefing note for HP Executive Board, which recommends how HP can effectively use e-marketing to attract and retain supporters, and advise how HP can address the concern raised in the blog about unethical fundraising. So when you're writing this briefing note, you're writing it about two things, right? First, how effectively you can use e-marketing to attract and retain supporters, number one. And then you can see this word and over here. So that and means you have to answer another part and advise how HP can address the concern, how you can address, how we can mitigate the concerns raised in the blog about unethical fundraising. So two requirements. A lot of time when the students are reading through the requirement, they overlook the word and that means they're only answering the e-marketing side for 14 marks. Instead of in this 14 marks, you have marks for e-marketing and how would you retain your supporters through e-marketing, and how would you mitigate the concerns which are raised in the blog about some unethical fundraising for 14 marks. Now, probably something like 7 marks for e-marketing and 7 marks for the unethical fundraising. And that's how you will split your answer into two parts. You'll write a briefing note with two broad headings. One, e-marketings, e-marketing. Number two, broad heading, unethical fundraising. So marketing team will be very happy that you have segregated your answer into two parts. Now, under e-marketings, you can use further subheadings, and under unethical fundraisings, you can use further subheadings. Now, this is part of journal professionalism. The right format, the headings, the split of the answer, and within the split of the answer, the subheadings, that's going excellent your way. So this is a holistic part of professional skills. Now look at the particular requirement and the particular skill being asked for. Under every requirement, you will find this. Professional skill marks are available for demonstrating commercial acumen skill. So you need to demonstrate the commercial acumen skill, but the examining team would be telling you how would you be demonstrating it. So every time the examining team tells you that you have to demonstrate a skill, they're not leaving you blank. They're also telling you what you need to do to demonstrate it. And if you follow that instruction, you are gaining most of the professional skill marks specifically attached to the task number 3 on your screen if you adhere to the instructions. What's the instruction? How would you get these commercial acumen skill marks? By showing awareness of how e-marketing can be used effectively to attract and retain supporters, number one. So when the marketing team is reading your answer, in your answer, they should get a clear answer about how e-marketing can help HP retain and attract supporters. Now, in your whole answer, if you talk about e-marketing in journal and benefits of e-marketing, but nowhere in your answer, I can find that how e-marketing can help retain HP supporters or how e-marketing can help attract more supporters for HP. I will not be giving you the professional marks. I will be definitely giving you the technical marks because you wrote about e-marketing, but I will not be rewarding you the 4 professional skill marks because you're not telling me anywhere in the answer that how e-marketing can attract more supporters for HP or how you retain supporters for HP, number one. So there should be a clear answer to this in your answer. And number two, how the concerns raised in the blog about unethical fundraisings can be addressed. Now, you talked about unethical fundraising. You talked about everything about unethical fundraising, but nowhere I find how it should be addressed. Nowhere I found the actions. Nowhere I found the mitigations. How the management would ensure that such unethical fundraisings are not taking place in future. What actions are they taking? against the person who were involved in it. So in your answer, if you're talking about unethical fundraising, but you're not talking about how it should be addressed by HB, what actions HB will be taking, you fail to get your professional skill marks. So you're writing a technical answer in a format of a briefing note with a split between e-marketing and unethical fundraising. You're splitting your marks into 7 and 7. You're giving headings and subheadings. It's not just fetching you the technical marks, but also the professional skill marks. But there is a particular skill which is to be demonstrated, and that is commercial acumen, yellow. But look at the green. The green is telling you how you need to demonstrate acumen. Number one, by telling how e-marketing can effectively be used by HP to attract and retain supporters. So I should find the answer to that. And number two, I should be knowing what measures can the company take to address unethical fundraising. I'll get 4 marks for that. So journal professionalism is about headings, subheadings, format, split, and clear answer. But the particular skills would come from commercial acumen, which are 4 extra marks here. So that is what we were talking about on the presentation. Probably would now make sense. Look at this statement on your presentation now. Bullet number 2. The marker will first and foremost pay particular attention to the demonstration of the specifically identified professional skill within each requirement. So when they're checking the task 3, they will first be checking how you demonstrated commercial acumen, how you demonstrated awareness about e-marketing, attracting and retaining supporters of HP, or how the unethical fundraising should be addressed. If they get an answer to that, they will be giving you 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 for the particular skill you have demonstrated. And against which a proper grid is given in every answers of examiner, that how you can get half to 1 to 1.5 to 2 to 3 to 4. So that grid is given if you want to see that. Moving onwards, bullet number 3. While this is the case, candidates who write in a style and with a focus which keeps them above journal points about professionalism in mind, the one we have discussed above, are more likely to achieve a higher professional marks in any requirement. Now, just I made that clear in task 3. Briefing note, journal professionalism. Break of the answer between e-marketing and unethical fundraising, journal professionalism. Headings and subheadings, journal professionalism. Writing short paragraphs, journal professionalism. But making use of the commercial acumen skill, that's the particular skill being asked for. So there is a blend of journal professionalism and the specific professional skill marks, which in total makes the 20 professional skill marks in SBL. I hope this particular discussion we had today about marker perspective on professional skill marks in SBL will go a long way in improving your prospects of scoring better in the upcoming September 25 exam. Your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off from this session, and wish you all the very best of luck for the upcoming exam setting.